Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven, Unscripted Success podcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We have another awesome guest on today. We have Courtney Potter, and Courtney is the founder and CEO of PeakAlity. She's passionate about helping people and organizations build resilience and thrive in every area of life. Her journey from as a New York advertising executive to a commercial real estate broker has given her a unique perspective on what it really takes to succeed in different industries. She's focused on equipping those around her with the mindset, motivation, and tools they need to live and fulfill life. How's it going?
Good.
Courtney?
How are you?
Good. And you're zooming in all the way from Orlando,
Florida.
All right. Another Floridian. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Woohoo.
So why don't we kick things off with you giving us a quick snapshot of your business right now, what you do and what your company does.
Yeah. So we have a software development company that really looks at a person holistically, 360 from mind, body, spirit, how a person does spiritually, socially, financially, what about their love and their relationships, their family, and what tools they need to help them thrive in those areas. And we enable guides, therapists, coaches to take those tools and then provide an integration platform for people to know what to do and when to do it. Because a lot of people go to a therapy session, they'll go to a retreat, and then they walk out and immediately lose motivation. It's like, oh, I had these aha moments, but what do I do now? So we like to take those programs and even products and then allow people to know what to do and when to do it, from journal prompts to you need to take this drink in 10 minutes. Did you do it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. How do you feel 2 hours later? Scale from 1 to 10. And then that way people actually can track their progress. And then in the meantime, we've also built community around that so that people stay accountable, they stay on track. And then those tools, those programs you can see whether or not they're being effective or not in your life.
Sure. That's fantastic. What a neat idea. And then that's what you're integrating into your software is how they keep track of each category that you put in there.
Exactly. Because it's like, after college or after school, there's really nothing that's helping an individual stay on track. And there's a million options out there, right? There's a million apps, there's a million coaches and guides, and there's no structure around it. So, if you do a fitness app or if you do something to build your relationship, it's not really acknowledged how it's affecting your other areas of life. And that's what we want to do. We want to gamify it so that you can actually see how your performance is actually, you can stay motivated. You can stay accountable for your own well-being.
Sure. So when you think back, are there any moments that you'd say really changed the game for you in your career?
Oh, gosh. I think that there's quite a few. I think that those moments are pivotal in order for a person that, consistently likes to strive for success and is driven to succeed. And I'm really passionate about when those obstacles arise, which they're going to, what tools you need to overcome them. And often the tools that you used in the past are not going to be the tools that you're using now, right? Because you're not the same person that you were then.
Absolutely.
So, I think the most significant in my life was when my best friend died of cancer. And it really made me take a step back and look at my life and how I was living my life and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I think that was definitely the most pivotal moment that I've had. Everything else up until that point was more, I want to say, maybe focused on the ego, really looking at, striving for that fulfillment of money, success, not necessarily fame, but just more about, having that drive to succeed. And now everything really comes from a place of soul fulfillment and what feeds my soul, from people to work, and everything that I surround myself with.
Sure. Oops, sorry about that. So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when rolling the dice really worked out for you?
I think it always works out for you. I mean, when you roll the dice, even if you fail, you learn something. So I like to roll the dice a lot. I say I'm a high stakes gambler in life because you've got one shot at this, right? And why not make it a little fun and a little, daring. Otherwise, what's the motivation getting up in the morning, really?
Right.
And so to me, it's all about getting up and saying, how can I push myself today to be the best version of myself? And as, kind of cliche as that sounds, I think that it really is true. I mean, otherwise you're just getting up and living the same mundane life. And some days it does even feel that way when you're constantly striving, but then you've got to look at the opportunities and what you can do to make it fun. And I think that people that you surround yourself with is vital, to stay motivated, to stay accountable, to stay, just on track, and reminding you that even you're definitely going to find days where you want to give up because you're exhausted and frustrated. But, then you wake up the next morning, you're like, thank God I did that. I pushed myself through that day because I feel better. And even though you fail, you always learn. And then you get up.
Absolutely.
What it's always about, right? It's always about like, how do you get back up after you just got punched in the face, right? I mean, some days it definitely feels that way. But but at the same time, like without that push and that motivation, then
there's no drive.
There's no drive, and there's no excitement. There's no, vitality of, and you get to be the creator of your life. So why not make it fun? And it's scary. It's definitely scary, but I mean, again, like what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm not putting myself in situations that, are putting my life at risk, right? I'm putting myself in situations that, could put my finances at risk, but you can always make money back, right? And you've learned through many obstacles along the way. So it's just staying on track, staying motivated, and being smarter so that you don't take the, significant financial risks, but maybe smaller ones at first to kind of get your toe wet, and then your feet, and then, you just kind of work your way up.
Absolutely. So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when rolling the dice really worked out for you?
Yeah, like I said, I think it always works out. Like, I think rolling the dice always works out because you learn something. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you sharp for the next time that you roll the dice. I mean, I've switched careers. And I will say that I think that you don't have to give up one thing to start something new. That was one of my biggest lessons. Like, you don't have to completely walk away from one career to experiment with another career. I mean, in my 20s, I was in marketing and advertising, lived in New York, moved to Orlando to get in commercial real estate. And so that jump was significant. But when I first moved to Orlando, I was doing advertising and marketing consulting for some larger brands here, which was great. And that enabled me to have that income while I was building my experience in commercial real estate. And then I worked my way up. And then when my best friend passed away of cancer, that's when I started to build a technology company. I didn't know anything about, technology and how to build a human performance company, but I knew that it was important for me to help others that maybe didn't have the guidance growing up or didn't have structure growing up, or wanted to help their kids or themselves, with all the influencers out there. Who do you know who to listen to? Which app is going to be best? Which is tapping going to help? Is meditation? Do I sign up for a marathon, but then 2 months in, I realize I don't like running. So it's like, these are real life situations that we all face. And I wanted to be more, methodical about how we help ourselves as well as others, and encourage others to experiment with different solutions, different products, different techniques, and actually see and stay on track. And even though it's hard, like, having a tool that is tracking that progress, it helps you stay motivated. And it's like, okay, you're, the analogy that I use is if you're in Orlando and you want to go to Seattle, you're not going to just be in Seattle, even if you fly versus driving, you're going to have to go along the way. And there's a million different ways to get there. There's different routes. There's different types of, transportation. And you've got to realize and give yourself a break, recognizing that you're in Denver, and you're halfway there, and you got to just know that keep your eye on that North Star. And maybe you decide, like, you're in Denver, you're like, you know what? I really don't want to go to Seattle. Like, I don't like this route. Maybe it's better for me to go to, I don't know, Santa Fe or San Diego, whatever, case may be. And it's always okay to pivot and find a different route, different solution, but be methodical. Just don't give up, though. Like, recognize why you chose to go to Seattle versus Santa Fe.
Absolutely. So what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
I would say skill. For me, a big part of my life is yoga. I do hot yoga. That's just because it enables me to have, like, I think movement is really important. And meditation, those two, definitely, just for someone like me, where my mind is constantly going, finding something that enables you to quiet the mind so that you can just kind of rest and reflect, I think is vital.
Absolutely.
I think that those two are definitely my go-tos.
So what does a day in your life look like, and how do you juggle work and everything else?
Well, so I have 15, almost 16-year-old twin girls. And so I think that my life is a balance of work and family. And it just depends on their schedules and mine. But a day in my life is inconsistent in a way that I get to look at my day ahead and plan accordingly. Depending upon what they have going on, depending upon what I have scheduled. So, but I like the freedom of that inconsistency, because it enables me to get excited about trying something new, or recognizing that I have that time with my daughters in the car, and knowing that I can talk with them one-on-one when I'm with them in the car. Sometimes we don't want to talk, but it's also just nice to have them, that presence and being present, finding a show that we can watch together. Little things like that are important, but a day in the life is just getting up and obviously making your bed. I think that is a big overrated first step in the morning, to just feel as though you've accomplished something. Even when the rest of the day you can go back and you can look in your room and see your bed made and know, like, I it's a small accomplishment, but at least it's, neat, it's put together. It's even if everything else is not put together and it's messy, you have
Sure.
one thing that you can reflect on that you can feel as though that you've accomplished.
Sure. Has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
Definitely Oprah. Oprah Winfrey, from when I was a young age, she was such an inspiration for me because she broke all the norms, right? And I grew up in Kentucky, which was, a certain way of life.
Sure.
And she broke all of those stigmas of, from being a woman, an African American woman, having the stage, having real conversations with people, opening my eyes to things that I'd never really been exposed to. I think she definitely was the first person that enabled me to look at my life and how I wanted to live my life and how I
Sure.
live my life. She didn't have kids. Even though that was important to me, it still enabled me to recognize, that we don't have to live a certain way of life and the way that everybody else is living their life. So I think
Sure.
that she, from a young age, really, for me, definitely has been an inspiration and what
Sure.
women can do and be and breaking the norm for sure.
Absolutely. So, how do you tackle learning new things, especially stuff that's way outside of your comfort zone?
Well, starting a podcast and putting myself on social media was definitely a challenge for me because it was something that I love business and getting in front and presenting, like all of that wasn't, you know, um, that was normal for me. I was used to that. Um, and, but the whole idea of putting myself on camera and talking to people and it being recorded or being
Sure.
documented, like if I said something stupid, it's out there. And
Mm,
I just had to really get comfortable with my voice and just kind of leaning into the feeling uncomfortable. I think that that's really the biggest piece of growth is learning how to, because I don't like the unknown. I like to have structure. I like to
sure.
know what to anticipate. Um, but I think that, just starting this, podcast and having the conversations but recognizing that having a woman's voice um, and is, just as important as the male voice. And that was something that I had to get used to in a different format than I was really used to for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and especially, I mean, coming up, growing up in Kentucky, it's a little more conservative. So, so I completely understand the challenges in that and the women rights and being a little more vocal because it's pretty traditional,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and which is nice. It's nice to have those traditional family values, but it's also nice to be open-minded and, you know,
Yeah, because it's a woman, you're, in that traditional environment, you're supposed to really just sit down, shut up, and look pretty.
right.
And I mean, that's really that's what you're raised to do. And
Yeah,
and having that, being uncomfortable with, recognizing that it's okay it's not about being in the spotlight, but it's about having a voice. And it's not
sure.
about um being an attention seeker. It's about setting the stage for other women and other voices to be able to express themselves and to provide insight and a different perspective than maybe what somebody else has been exposed to. I mean, that was one of the biggest things was, looking at different cultures, looking at different um, ways of being. And moving to New York really helped open my eyes to
Oh, I'm
what,
sure.
oh my gosh. I mean, it was like
Lots of culture there.
lots of culture. And I learned so much about people and about myself. And it challenged me to look at myself and how I presented myself. And what my points of view were, why I had my points of view, and challenging myself to really reflect differently.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's just trying something new is not always easy, and challenging your thoughts is definitely very much, something that can be uncomfortable, but if we're not changing, if we're not growing, then we're just going to be stagnant. And
Right.
where's
Not
the fun in
getting-
that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Can you share a personal habit or routine that has significantly contributed to your professional success?
Um, a habit or routine for my success. I think that just getting used to feeling uncomfortable. It's the only way you're going to do it is to constantly put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, prepare for them. But like one of my friends was teaching when I worked in New York, my boss was, Ivy League scholar who gave it all up to travel the world. And then she started this speaking, Women Speak organization group. And it enabled me to feel safe with her and finding my voice, finding my message, finding my, just feeling comfortable speaking in front of others about my points of view and that were outside of work. Because I felt so confident with work, just really, really confident about business and understanding the numbers, understanding the talk, understanding how you conduct yourself in those situations. But when it came to me and expressing my perspective and my point of view, like, who am I to put to go out there and express these things? But that was the thing that I learned is that we all have a voice and we all have a perspective. And maybe that perspective, those learnings, like exactly what you're doing, is enabling someone else to find inspiration, to find their voice, and to find and try something new and not be afraid to fail. I mean, basically the expectations were, just to get married. And like, that just sounded really boring to me. Like, but I, not that marriage is boring by any means. But it just was, I wanted to try new things. I wanted to explore new things. And I wanted to, see what this life could offer, and maybe not in a traditional environment, but non-traditional environments.
Absolutely. Well, I've enjoyed learning about you and chatting with you, Courtney. Thanks so much for your time today. And uh, what do you have going on in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, we are getting ready to launch PeakAlity, and PeakAlity stands for your personality and reality at its peak performance. So we're going to be rolling out our software, and it's to help, again, therapists, coaches, guides to work with their clients and have an integration tool. So we're rolling that out in the next few weeks. So that's definitely going to keep us busy, and I'm very, very, very excited about being able to bring that to market finally.
That's pretty exciting. So if one wanted to get a hold of you and learn more about your software, how does one get a hold of you?
LinkedIn is definitely the best. We're also on social media. Everything's with PeakAlity. Also have my own site, Courtney Potter. And because a lot of people call me Court, and CourtneyPotter.com was taken. So we went with Court. And so, yeah, but LinkedIn is definitely the easiest way because we're on it all the time. And then we have podcasts as well. Love to have you on it. And
I would love to come on.
It'd be great. Yes.
And what's the name of your podcast?
Podcast is the PeakAlity podcast.
Okay.
So all about, peak performers and what they need to do to overcome obstacles.
Sure.
And, because again, obstacles are going to arise, and what tools you use are not always the tools that you've used in the past. You may have to just change it up, just like anything else. So, yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to be here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And so you guys heard how to get a hold of Courtney and learn more about PeakAlity. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.